We are awaiting the start of the Acton Aguadulce Unified School District Board of Trustees meeting of May 27th.
All right. We're going to return and reconvene at 7:31 p.m. Can I get a club salute by Mr. Westbrook? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we could have Mr. Wadsworth read this statement, please.
Communicate clearly, especially with respect for others' time, the time for others. Listen objectively, carefully, considering the opinions of others. Understand the counterproductive effects of destructive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors. Understand and respect district policies and procedures. Maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and efforts of the others who have served in the past.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Public comments. Remember that we don't have more than 3 minutes, a lot of time. So, this portion of the agenda is common recognition. So if you have please reach out to the board president with a written copy of and an administrator to provide the answers to you later.
I don't think we have any public comments. This is for student advisory.
Okay. Okay, so we do not have any public comments this evening?
No.
Okay. Thank you. So we have Ada. We have Giselle. Are you there, Miss Melissa?
No.
She's not on. Okay. Do we have Cesar Ortiz for CSEA? No. How about Kemp Fairbanks for the student? Is he on?
I believe so.
Okay, so we're at the gold standard, Mr. King.
Thank you. So let me start out by saying we don't have a large COVID report up. There's not changed the report like we did with the last board meeting, which is a good thing. Vaccinations are up to 12 to 17-year-olds, which is a good thing as well. So with that, I'm going to move ahead to facilities. And again, there's no update there. I appreciate Ernesto's done a great job of our campuses clean and making sure they're ready for our students and continue to do the sterilization and disinfecting of our campuses for our protocol. Thank our team for that. Next, I'd like to talk about our Superintendent Student Advisory Council. I have my last final meeting with the students for this school year. If any of these students are online, I'd love it if you could maybe wave hi or say hi. I don't know if you're out there, but we asked that if they were able to join the meeting tonight so I could recognize them. Is Josephine Butler out there? I don't know if there's a way to identify my last name, Alex. Maybe we can try that. Butler? Josephine, yeah, there you go. Hi, Lori Butler, are you the parent of Josephine Butler?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thanks for letting us know. How about Kylie Finn? Okay, how about Amber Moore?
Numbers there.
I'm here.
Hi, Amber.
Hi.
just want to thank you for all your work on the Student Advisory Council and participating in our last meeting with Ms. Saavedra, with the other 4 students here. And go ahead.
You're welcome.
All right, well, if you can stay on the meeting for just a couple more minutes, the board members might have some comments for you. So just stay with us for a minute. How about Raul Pacheco Vera? Are you out there? Okay, how about Edward Venegas Patino?
I'm here.
Hi, Edward, how are you?
Good. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And, by the way, these students are always this polite in every one of our meetings. So, Edward, same thing. If you can hang in there, I'm glad you're on the meeting tonight, and we may have some comments for you to hear. Brandon, great. Thank you, Edward. Brandon Vasquez, are you out there? Let's try Lisa Vasquez. Let's see if she's okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, great. How are you, Brandon?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thanks for sharing all of your ideas regarding what you think is going well, and what you think are areas of growth for our middle school. Thank you. Nina,
Yeah.
cutting them off. Hi, Nina. Can you hear us?
Appreciate you taking the time to send that to us. I think it's nice that when students are, growing and maturing, that they show that they appreciate opportunities to serve their community and to take the time. A lot of juniors can say, I'm busy, hey, I can't go, but to take the time to do that. So I'd like to recognize Myra for taking the time for that.
Yeah, I agree. So, I don't know, board members, if you have any thoughts you'd like to share, please feel free.
Just
Let's move. Student Advisory Council. I want all you students and kids to know that the reason we sit up here is because we attempt to represent the community and the interests of the community that elected us. You guys have a very similar role and an equally critical role. I'll tell you this, a good business, a successful business, always has a pulse on what its customers are looking for and whether they're happy with the service or not. And sometimes that's forgotten about in education. Sometimes the adults get hung up on what's important to them, or how someone looks in the community and that kind of thing. And it's not really about that at all. It's about, are we remaining relevant in our business, which is education, because people compete for the interests of our students. So you guys coming forward, I've heard some of the things you've talked about, and they're not just easy things. Some of them are difficult, and some of the comments that I've seen come out of your work is, we should do this, or we should think about doing that. And I'm sorry, I'm 61 years old. Some of the things that you guys see as critical in your world, I'm still trying to put Lincoln Logs together. So I appreciate you guys coming together and representing the interests of the kids at your school. When you do that, and you're able to do that with, to talk about the successes you have, the ideas that you have, and some of the challenges that you see that your campus has, you're able to bring things forward in an equitable way. And when equity is not the focus, when all of the kids at your school are not the focus, then you get people advocating for themselves. And self-advocacy is usually an indicator of a failing system where trust is lacking. So, guys, I very much appreciate it. When you hire people, when you're sitting in a chair hiring people, they all come in, they all look the same, they're all this, it's the person that would come and say, as Mr. King said, you know, I've got something that says that I participated in something when I was in 2nd grade. Here's something where I worked through difficulty when I was in 5th grade. Here is the volunteer work I did at the hospital when I was in 10th grade. Those are the things that build community. Those are the things that build equity. And guys, you've done a great job, because mostly what you've done, the most important thing you have done is you have spoken for other kids who may not literally be able to speak for themselves, my daughter being one, or other people who are too shy, or people that feel disenfranchised. So I congratulate you on bringing forth, especially the difficult issues that are going to cause the adults in this world to wake up, pay attention, and realize that you guys are the key to our success. Thank you very much.
Good evening, students. I won't touch much more on what Ken had to say. He laid it out pretty well, but thank you for your time. Know that it's great that you guys do come forward and give your opinions of what could make things better at your local schools. Sharing your ideas are only going to make your schools better. So it's awesome that you guys are out there and willing to take the time out of your busy schedules to come forward and speak to us adults so that we can help make things better. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, everybody. I want to acknowledge all the students. That's what I miss most, is that I'm not in the classroom teaching, because I know that as a teacher, I would introduce new content or clarify content for students. But a good portion of my classroom is when I was learning from the students. And you all are demonstrating that you can be great instructors for your peers and for the superintendent of our district, as well as the adults in your life. I congratulate you. I encourage you to continue to speak up, raise your hand, be recognized, think outside the box, because there's adults around you that you can certainly educate, and I'm one of them. And I've always appreciated having that communication with a student, because I know they had ideas that I wouldn't even think of. And there'd be that smile on your face and that idea, well, why can't we do this? And that's a good question. So if you do, there's going to be things that you don't know, and it's okay for you to ask. And I really appreciate you checking on our superintendent, making sure that you're asking questions, keeping him in check. So Amber, Edward, Brandon, Lena, Caden, Samantha, and Myra, you're representing your peers with pride and confidence, and congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Well, my board members have said some things, but I just want to say that when you see the word advisory, when we talk about a superintendent-student advisory council, really speaking for your fellow students and giving us some ideas. And I don't want you to think just because we're adults, we're not listening. I've had the pleasure of working with many youth groups, and oftentimes, trust me, the students are the smartest people in the room. So I really appreciate your time and your effort. I had the pleasure of going to dinner before COVID with some of our student advisory council students. That was a great experience, and due to COVID, we weren't able to do that. But thank you for hanging in there. We look forward to having you continue with serving your community and your school. But I also want to thank Mr. King, because I think it's so important to give you guys as many opportunities to do service and to also have opportunities for leadership. So it's always a great thing when you're serving your community, your school. It really teaches you a lot of things. So thank you so much for all your time and effort, students.
Thank you, board. I really appreciate it. I know those comments were heard. It would have been great to do this in person. This was the next best thing we can do. We're going to get those certificates out to everybody. Students, you do not need to stay on this board meeting any longer. You are welcome to if you'd like to. But thank you so much, parents and students, for helping this to happen for the recognition. Thank you for your time. I'm going to return now to my superintendent comments. The next thing I'd like to talk about is Miss Nicole Chun. Is she in the room here? All right, well, Miss Chun, we will talk about you behind your back. So I want the board to know that this is not an easy certificate to get. She put in quite a bit of time, and this is a very meaningful program that she went through to help ensure that our teachers have somebody here qualified in your Google format for educators. So I thought I'd share this with the board this evening and let you know in case you want to add anything during your board comments, please feel free. But I'm really, really proud of our TOSAs, the work they're doing, and it's made a world of difference in the availability of immediate assistance for not just the technology in terms of how to use the equipment, the hardware and the software, but how to apply it from an instructional point of view. And so that PD has really been critical this year. Really appreciate all the work you've done, Nicole, Sean, thank you. We attended, I didn't write down the date, I'm trying to remember, is it down on the, here? I think we went last Wednesday.
Yes.
The last Wednesday, we attended the Acton Women's Club Scholarship Program. And I think it's important to note that we had 7 recipients that all came from Vasquez High School, and oftentimes these are students from other organizations, other schools. So I really appreciate the support from the Acton Women's Club. I want to acknowledge the recipients, Annabelle Becker. They had to write essays with quotes from people. So hers was, "Do or do not, there is no try." That was by Yoda. Kyle Johnson, "It's the habit of living that you are scared of losing." The TV show Yellowstone. Camila Galvez, "You can do anything, but you can't do everything." That was by David Allen. Chloe Main, "Let me tell you the secret that has led me to my goal. My strength lies solely in my tenacity," by Louis Pasteur. Christopher Pape, I hope I'm saying that last name correctly. "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all," Helen Keller. Cheyenne Villasenor, "The power of determination will make you unstoppable," by Jean Cheris. Amy Johnson, "Hope but never expect, look forward but never wait," by Anonymous. I want to congratulate the 7 of you. Great work on your part. Shows a lot of tenacity just in this effort. And again, I want to thank the Acton Women's Club for helping us to recognize our students through your efforts. And there is no video tonight, board. We've kind of been nonstop with the videos, but we have a full agenda tonight, so there is no video this evening. And with that, Madam President, that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Do we have any submissions this evening?
We do not.
Okay, let's go to board comments. Mr. Falstaff.
Thank you. First, I'm going to be very happy to see that we will be celebrating the educational success of our graduates shortly in the next couple of weeks. I'll tell you this, when you walked into the door of our schools, some of you 13 years ago, you entered into a contract with this district that if you would do the educational work, you would be rewarded with a diploma that signified your efforts and your excellence in achieving your goal. And it's about time that the world, society, and all the people that make the rules will allow us to complete our end of the contract, which is to hand you your diploma. This board has been through some changes over the last few years since I've been here, and we rotate out of the presidential seat. There is no mono presidency. Everyone will take their turn in order, and I think that's healthy. I think everybody brings something to the table that's different, just as each one of you graduates takes something out into the world that will be different. My turn to sit in the president's chair was 2020. I am extremely excited to see the faces of those kids that I missed on the stage last year. It's a year late, but I'm going to be happy to see you all. You're all adults just like us now. You're not kids anymore. You're not in school, and you've done the work. And I'm going to be happy to see you and find out what exciting things you've done in enduring the world. I think you guys have been handed something that nobody has ever handed before. I'll have some comments when it's time. I very much appreciate the recognition of this district students by the community groups, the women's clubs, everybody else, the Lions, everybody else who's been consistent in supporting our kids in the past. Thank you for keeping keeping that up. And I've got something here that I want to talk about. Oh, the Antelope Valley ACSA, I don't even know what that means. I'm having a problem reading it. I think somebody here will be able to tell us. But in Region 15, which is around this area, there are awards that are given. One was for curriculum and instruction. That's really what school is all about, keeping your curriculum relevant. That's what I was talking about with the student council that meets with the superintendent. Is our curriculum relevant? Because if it's not, you guys got in the world, you're ill prepared. So they hand out awards for people who work with a lot of kids, sometimes thousands and thousands. And these people are responsible to make sure that the materials you have, the curriculum, the things that you're learning in each class are relevant, not only relevant to one kid, but all the kids in the classrooms. There's a lot of equity involved in here. And in our region around here, the Administrator of the Year for the Curriculum Instruction Award was our own Callie Johnson,
It was for the Antelope Valley, not
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, the Antelope Valley is bigger than Acton, I'll give you that. So please do not try to minimize my recognizing you. I don't do it very often.
I know, thank you very
Okay,
much.
I'm still talking, thank you. So, I think regionally, we had somebody else that was recognized, and Kim Tredick, you may remember her from being, some of you kids that are growing up now might remember her as your principal at Meadowlark School. So, whatever is said, whatever is done, at the end of the day, we have people here that are and have lended to our system that are regionally recognized for their excellent in curriculum development and service to students. So congratulations, Callie. Next time you see her, say something nice to her, and I will take credit for it. Mr. Wadsworth.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Nice to have you all here with us. I'm looking very forward to the graduations coming up to see off class of 2020 and 21. It's going to be a great moment for everybody involved. Congratulations to all the students out there for their hard work and their efforts before to get to the finish line of high school. It's a great thing. I really don't have a whole lot of comments tonight other than I'm excited to look forward to graduation and get it done. It's great.
You did wear a purple shirt.
I did wear a purple shirt, and I'll make sure I wear one on graduation night too.
You're going to wear black. Excuse me, I have yellow, you just can't see it.
Your turn.
Well, I want to congratulate all the recipients of the Acton's Women's Club. It's incredible that we get that. I really appreciate the Acton's Women's Club recognizing the hard work of our student athletes, particularly with the challenges that were faced over the last year with COVID and distance learning. I know there's a lot of excitement about year-end events. I'm hoping that those go off well and they're planned in accordingly with the safety of our students. And I'm looking forward to graduation. The creative graduation we had last year was less than what everybody wanted, but the plans that have been put together for back-to-back 20 and then 2021, that we can recognize all the hard work that our students did for during this distance learning, because it was their hard work, the frustration of teachers and the patience of parents, and the hard work that got that done, but the credit goes to you students for getting that done. Thank you for that. I want to touch base a little bit on something else that I think is equally of importance to us here, and particularly when it comes to the traditions of our school and our community, and that has to do with our athletics program. We've made some really tough choices back in the spring of 2020, most of it not of our own doing, where departments and other agencies said you have to stop doing things. And so we made some decisions that were really uncomfortable, and everybody had to really work hard to try to work around that. And for the most part, we were quite successful. As we began to improve and things got better, we got better and better. But then again, some things fell through the crack. And the disappointment is that now we're on the verge of recovery and restarting our athletic program for our students. I want to make sure that we still look out for all the opportunities for our student athletes, no matter how big or small our team organizations. Title IX says if we offer it here, we're going to offer it here. We agree to do that. We're going to do all those things. That I want to make sure we're doing everything we can to give every student athlete an opportunity in these waiting days of the school year to have that opportunity to prepare, to make the team, to try out, to do all the things that are necessary, because as a coach, I know I'm doing work off season as I am on season, and I'm prepping for the next season before the other season ends. And so there's a lot of work still left to do. There's been outdoor sports were cleared, and our successes of our softball, baseball teams, and other, I think track is working out and doing some things. Soccer, boys and girls soccer, there's been a lot of hard work and effort put in by these students, and I'm very appreciative of the coaches and everyone working hard to make sure that those student athletes have an opportunity. The unfortunate part is the indoor sports were the ones that got pummeled in the spring, and now here we're at the end and they still weren't able to get it open because the numbers weren't right and we couldn't get around them. But I think as we move on, that there's an opportunity for us to recognize and give them some fleeting moments because our numbers are correct. And it's my understanding that some of the problems is that the testing is a challenge. I think there's opportunities for us as adults to get around that, to work with that, to make that available to those students. I'm hopeful that we can do that. There's been a lot of frustration and communication with regards to keeping a balance and getting us back on our feet. We have a lot of work to do to restart, to rebuild, to regain the confidence of our community, our parents, our student athletes, that we can reset ourselves as Mustangs and Hawks from High Desert to make sure that our students have an opportunity with athletics. The one team that I'm concerned about and that I've heard many conversations about outdoors was our tennis team. Very small, only a few, four or five student athletes. And to me, it makes no difference if it's two athletes, if it's one athlete. If we're going to host a team, I'd like to see us do everything we can for that team. I'm understanding that CIF, because of the circumstances, is waiving a lot of the restrictions that they're lifting restrictions. So now we can be creative. We can think outside the box to work around because they're taking away a lot of things to help teams, help schools get back on track. And I want to make sure we take advantage of that. I'm hopeful that we'll understand these challenges and that everyone is participating in the direction and the creation and the coaching of this gets that done so that our students can have an opportunity. I look forward to seeing, as we all do, that when we return in the fall, that the Mustangs are going strong with their fall sports, winter sports, spring sports, and that our enrichment programs at High Desert are building a program where they can stay within the district and we can attract students to stay here. I appreciate everybody's hard work, their patience, and encourage them to keep pushing forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clarkson. I also was able to attend the Aadusd Women's Club Theater last week to see our students get their scholarships. You know, this is what I love about living in a small town. It was small. The Aadusd Women's Club worked so hard for our students, and even through this COVID, they had to think of creative ways, including getting their storefront, to be able to present our students with scholarships. So a lot of work going on behind the scenes on behalf of our students, and it was just great to see. My favorite, not that I should have one, but you know, we have a Johnson kid that's going to be a teacher. So I'm excited to see where she goes. I told Mom, give us a call because I have some connections. We can certainly help her get into the teaching profession. So I'm excited about that. Also, we had a lot of the kids that were wearing their their softball uniforms while they got their awards. So, you know, they had to get their scholarship. They were very articulate and wonderful, and then they had to go to play their softball games. So thank you to our wonderful students. We also were able to attend this week the Antelope Valley School Board Association meeting, which wasn't such a great topic. It was very disturbing but necessarily necessary information about human trafficking. So we were able to attend that with other school board members throughout the Antelope Valley. I want to thank Ernesto, because I think that as we get used to when the beginning of COVID happened, everybody was worried about touching surfaces and cleaning and the high spots and all of those things that had to happen. But I just want to recognize him this evening, because that hasn't stopped, and that still goes on. And we've kind of gotten a little lax. Some people have gotten vaccines. Not that we've gotten lax in the school district, but I just want everyone to know that that really takes a lot to just keep that going and making sure that our students and our staff are safe. So I want to give a shout out to Ernest, because that's really difficult to do. Also, I'm looking forward to graduation as well. Thank you, Mr. Felsgraf, for giving me a compliment this evening, because I know that doesn't always come easy for you. So I do appreciate that. That was very kind. I am the Director of Curriculum Instruction for a nearby school district, and the Association of California School Administrators, we have the Antelope Valley region, and we do have the region, which is what Kim did. So we do have that. But our own Kim Shaw, I happen to know what some of her resume says. She has also been the recipient of many awards through ACSA as well. And one of the things that I really was happy to see, Mrs. Shaw, if you could thank your team, is seeing on the warrant register things that have to do with improving our reading program for summer. And also, I see on there that you are working towards really getting us some ways to assess our students so that we're able to see how our kids are doing. You know, I'm a big proponent of, you don't wait to see how students did when they take the state test. We should be seeing how our kids are doing all along. This board and our community should never be surprised how our kids do, because we should know what's happening throughout the year. So I see you working in that direction, and I really appreciate your effort, including Nicole Chen. That is not an easy award to get. I know people that have worked toward that Google certificate through the last few years. It looks like a piece of paper that says Google, but there is a lot of work and learning and doing that's involved in getting that award. Nicole Chen is a great teacher. It's hard when you take a teacher out of the classroom that becomes TOSA. I have the pleasure of overseeing 21 TOSAs myself, and it is, it's a lot of times your strong teachers that become TOSAs. They have leadership skills and they have skills. So, and we have lots of teachers that have skills and they want to always stay in the classroom, and we need them. So it's hard to take people out of the classroom, but she's made a difference this year with all the stuff that we've had to do with all of the distance learning and the professional development. I'll just say, since I'm aware of professional development going on in this community, that what they did, when they had that October, right? Was it October? That October professional development, even though I'm not big on Star Trek and I don't really know the movie very well, they had some great things happening, and really having our teachers be open-minded, because you can present professional development and things happening to your staff, but unless your teachers really understand the why and they're able to apply those things, it's really not beneficial. So a big shout out to our teachers as well. Just very excited to see some things that are happening to improve our student learning, because really at the end of the day, we talk about a lot of things happening in the district, but at the end of the day, it's what is our students learning? What are they able to do? And we can see that we're doing some great things, because I don't know that there's any better kids in this that we have right here in our community. Just seeing how well educated, how articulate, how we're producing students with great education and great skills. So we have people going to great colleges and things like that. So a big shout out to everybody that's working so hard. And that's all I have for this evening. Okay, so I have the consent agenda. So it's recommended that we approve the consent agenda for items 8.A through 8D as submitted. Can I get someone to move this in, please?
Tim Jordan.
Second.
Chad wants to second.
Any comments, Mr. King, or changes?
No, I'm gonna go back to one thing I did miss, but we can do it after on recognition.
Do you want to postpone this and come back to it and go back or?
No.
Okay. Okay, consent agenda. Okay, board, does anybody have a comment or question about the consent?
I have two things I don't need them to hold. There's a reference to one of my comments. There was a reference to April. That needs to be changed. I pointed to May. I pointed that out to the superintendent's office. And going to the warrant register on page 6, there is a reference to a vendor named Ed Puzzle Incorporated. Ed Puzzle. That has nothing to do with Ed Hive. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Not a subsidiary, nothing to do with Ed Hive.
No.
Good, I'm good, thank you.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, let's call for the vote.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Chad Walker, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 4-0 vote. Thank you. Go to,
Thanks. And I skipped number 5 by mistake, was under recognitions and reports. And I just wanted to take this time, if Mike Fox is on the line here, I'd like to recognize him for his service with the board. For our board members, a chance.
There he is.
I'm trying.
We can hear you, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Okay, you can hear me now, not see me, that's cool. I'm here. Thank you.
All right. So I'd like to share with you, Mike, that we have a certificate for you, which we have a framed version of this being done, and we'll have that available for pickup. We'll let you know when you can come get it. What it reads is, Mike Fox has been a board member since September 26, 2013. Mr. Fox has served during fiscally challenging times, including but not limited to the recent reductions the board is compelled to approve to ensure fiscal solvency for the district. His own children graduated from our district and have found continued academic success at the collegiate level. Mr. Fox was able to see the completion of the 3 phases of Vasquez High School as a result of the district's efforts to secure passage of bond measure CF. Being a board member requires due diligence, commitment, and the ability to make sound decisions. Mr. Fox seldom missed a board meeting, served as board president twice, and was known for using logic and reasoning skills to support his decisions. And Mike Fox, you were the president at the time I was hired to the school district. I want to personally thank you for that process and your support since that time. Very much appreciated. Personally and both professionally, I thank you for everything you've done for the district and for your support for me.
Thank you. Let's go around.
Mike, this is Ken, be well.
Good evening, Mike. I'll keep it short and sweet. I appreciate your time on the board. Being a public servant is never an easy situation to be in. I do wish that we would have had this revelation before the election so that the people of the town could have picked the replacement for you. But be it as it may, I wish you nothing but the best. And again, thank you for your public service again to our community. That's all I have to say.
Hey, Mike, Tim, thank you for your service to the district. You're able to bring reason to numbers and help me identify things that I had misconstrued, and I really appreciate that. All the best moving forward, and stay safe and be well.
Hello, Mike. It's kind of weird tonight. We're here and your chair is empty, so we already miss you. Thank you for all your service, and like Ken said, be well and enjoy your extra time. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thanks, everybody, and it was a pleasure serving. I'll miss, obviously, mostly the kids, especially with promotions and graduations coming. So I wish all of you well. Like I said, I'll miss the kids. I won't miss the late nights. Won't miss the board comments, even my own. Sometimes they can go for a while. But yeah, I will miss you all. And I explained last week the abruptness of this and the life changes that occurred. So thank you for plugging on without me. Take care.
Take care, Mike. Thanks. Okay, we're going to continue with 10A, Personnel People Services, the consent agenda. can it's recommended the board approve personnel action report, PAR, as represented. Can I get can somebody move this in?
Tim moved.
Seconds.
Chad second. Mr. Falsgraf has left the room momentarily, so, Mr. King, do you have any comments?
I do. We have a principal recommendation for High Desert School, which I'll come back to that pending the board's decision. It's our recommendation that this employee, Michelle Van Ornum, along with Ray Palladini, both be approved for the positions being recommended to the board this evening. And I'll reserve further commentary until the board is able to vote.
Thank you. Can we call for the vote? Mr. Falsgraf is absent at the time. Mr. Wadsworth. We're going to call for the vote. Ken left. Ken's not.
So he did it up?
I moved it in.
He moved it in.
Oh.
I thought you moved it in. You second. Now we're calling for the vote.
Okay, now we're calling the vote.
Chad. We couldn't hear you.
So your vote on the
We're voting on the part.
On
Yes.
the person. Yes.
Okay. Kelly Jensen is a yes. That's a 3-0 vote, and that passes. So can you please welcome our new employees?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'd like to welcome first Ray Palladini. He's a new custodian. I had the pleasure of meeting him just 2 weeks ago. I think I still do my tier 2 interviews. I take pride in the fact that in the small district I can meet every single employee who is recommended to me for hire. So congratulations to Ray and to Ernesto doing a great job on that. Michelle Van Ornum, I think the board is very familiar with that name. We bring to you this evening her as our recommendation, which you just approved as the new principal for High Desert School. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kim Shaw for any commentary she'd like to make regarding the introduction of Ms. Van Ornum.
Good evening, President Jensen and fellow board members. I would like to introduce Michelle Van Ornum, who will serve as the principal at High Desert School effective July 1st, 2021. She started in our district back in August of 2003. She serves as a math teacher. She has also worked with ASB, yearbook. She's done several of the videos that you've been able to enjoy this year. She works with our video production students. She's a tech coordinator, and she's also helped us a lot the end of last year and this year with our technology PD that we've needed to use during COVID. So it is my pleasure to introduce Michelle to you. And Michelle, would you like to introduce us to your husband and children?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're working on camera possibly, but I can't turn it on from my end. So I'll just talk in the meantime. My family's all here. You just can't see them. So my husband, Steve, and I have 4 kids. Jacob at the high school in 11th grade. Mackenzie is a freshman at Vasquez. And then I have Zach, who is in the 7th grade at High Desert, and Lexi, who is in the 5th grade at High Desert. So I am, oh, here we go. There we go.
We can see you, Michelle.
All right, awesome. So let me take off so you can see all of my people here, so everybody can say hi, so they can all wave. So truly, this is, these guys are my why every day, along with all of my students. And anything that I have accomplished, it's because I have this amazing team, you know, holding down the fort and making things happen. And also my kids, just for participating in everything. So it helps us to be actively involved in what's going on in our district, because there are amazing programs in our district. And so I definitely believe in them. I have my own children in almost everything. So you'll see us around. I just want to say thank you to the committee and to the assistant superintendents and the superintendent for selecting me. We are definitely all in as a family. We love our school, love Vasquez, love High Desert, and I'm super proud to and honored to lead them. High Desert is an incredible school. And although we're small, we are still looking to make really big things happen for our students because they all deserve it. All of our kids deserve to have amazing things happen. And I just am super honored to be selected, and I look forward to helping High Desert move forward with all the enthusiasm and mindset for creativity that I have. And I can't wait to help our staff and support them in my new administrative role. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Back to you, Mr. King.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Congratulations, Ms. Van Ornum. And Steve, I'll congratulate you too, because it does take a family. So good to see you and the family there. And I'll turn it back over to Board President for any comments.
Thank you. Do you guys have any comments?
Brother Van Ornum, thank you for your contribution to the district's ADA. Mr. Wadsworth.
Michelle, congratulations to your new position. I look forward to seeing what you can do with High Desert. I know you've touched many of the students within that school, and even outside of that school for that matter. You've been a solid person in our community helping the youth. I hope you're ready for the challenge. I know a lot of people are going to be watching to see what you can do, and hopefully you turn that ship around and do what I believe you can do going forward. My only little bit of advice I would give is that now that you're kind of in a different position from being a teacher, is that some of the people that may have been close to you may not be so close to you, or they may look at you a little bit different, but know that you're only as good as the people you have working with you. So try to bridge that gap and find that common ground to succeed in your endeavors and push forward, and don't give up. You have support of the community, and that's all I have to say.
They drew a picture of us. Michelle, I get to be the first one to say you went over to the other side. Like what they did with me when I left teaching to go to dean. But, welcome aboard as an administrator. So now that little tiny classroom you had is now that big because it's fence to fence, front to back, left to right of High Desert. You're a hawk all the way until you send those kids up to be Mustangs. So I'm looking forward to some encouraging things, and I want to see all the energy you put into that classroom. You put that into the staff and the kids, and we'll have a great time. Congratulations.
Thank you. Michelle, congratulations. I'm very happy for you. I know this is, different role. It's going to be exciting to see what you can do with your team. I know that you like to do many creative things, and I don't know if you recall a few years ago, you were expressing some things that you would like to see happen, and I looked at you and said, you need to become an administrator, because I don't know if you remember that, but that was my advice to you at the time. So here you are. So well done, and I'm excited to see what you can do. And Steve, I hope you can improve on your cooking, because she's going to have less time than she has now. So anyways, so congratulations, Michelle. July is right around the corner, so I know your head's spinning with all your ideas.
Get your vacation time on July 1st. It's coming really fast.
Yeah. Better be taking a vacation in June, Van Ornum family. So congratulations. All right, so we'll go to B, the descriptive administrative assistant confidential, to go ahead and approve this. Can we get this moved in?
What are we doing here? So moved.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm going to suck it because we're mixed up a little bit. Let's turn it over to Larry.
Okay, so this is a recommendation to approve a new job title. Many of you are familiar with Lucy Tone. She works in the HR Ed Services, Pupil Services Department with Kim Shaw. When oftentimes as one employee is leaving and we're refilling the position, we want to update the position so that it's aligned with the actual work being done in that office. The previous title, or the current title I should say, and job description really don't properly align with the work being done in that office now. And so what you have in front of you is a new title, Administrative Assistant Confidential. The confidential has to do with the fact that we have a lot of employees that are confidential, but I always say there's lowercase c and uppercase c. So secretaries, clerical staff, teachers, everybody has an expectation of a certain amount of confidentiality about student information. But uppercase C refers to information dealing with the bargaining units. So there's only 2 positions in the district that are upper C confidential. One is in the superintendent's office, Yolanda McCullough's position, and the second would be this position in HR. So we've changed quite a bit in the description to properly reflect the duties and responsibilities. I know you've had a chance to review that. We're happy to take any questions from the board.
Larry, I read through this. It looks to me as if this person would have access to personal information and legal status with SPAD cases, possibly negotiations before the board would even be updated as to what those were. Disciplinary matters, employees, students, third parties to the district, legal matters, investigations, that type of thing.
That's accurate, that's correct. Yeah.
So if I want to be really popular or improve my social status in the community, I could probably try to apply for this job and then hand out information. Anybody that was hiding behind a cup of coffee and a donut came through the door. Let's say I did that. Would there be any personal potential ramifications for the person that did that outside of the district not defending them in some type of action against them?
Yeah, you certainly would expose yourself to personal and district liability.
So when we recruit for this position, I would hope that somebody makes it very clear that what is in that office stays in that office. I don't want to hear the name of a SPAD child. I don't want to know that one employee is getting preferential treatment by having information about a recruitment, any of that stuff. I will be highly keen on this. These positions are earned. They're not to be a platform to make yourself something in the community that's a hotline to the inside. I want people's dignity protected at all times. That is so critical to me. That's all I have. Thank you.
So in this job description, so are we cleaning up what the current person was doing? They were doing this, but we didn't codify it in writing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The previous position was called Secretary to the Office of Human Resources and Superintendent, I believe. And the reason that close enough, Yolanda. I'm looking at Yolanda because she's very familiar with it, because that used to be the title of her position. So we have 2 positions occupied with identical titles and descriptions. And my predecessor had his own rationale for doing that. When I came here, I immediately changed that by changing Yolanda's title and description to match my office duties and responsibilities. And so now we're getting this one up to speed.
So now so are we adding any, and I'm not familiar with the old job description, so is there any new responsibilities added with this job description that they didn't have before?
Yeah, when it talks to some of the things that Mr. Falsgraf brought up, the HR piece is very similar, but when it talks about some special ed pieces and the training and experience, it aligns to what the office is doing now in terms of pupil services, special education, and HR and ed services as well.
And this position is directly in support to the assistant superintendent, Ms. Shaw.
That's correct.
And so there was nothing taken out that was given to anybody else?
Correct.
To any other assignment?
That's right.
Clarified what they were doing, added a couple of items, aligned it to match up to be in direct support to the assistant superintendent, Ms. Shaw, Mrs. Shaw, right?
Correct.
Now, and then it says down at the bottom, appropriate placement on the confidential employee salary schedule F. So does this job description change that compensation package from before?
That's a great question. No, it does not. It's still aligned with the same salary schedule.
So the prior job description was on this salary F, and this new position, whoever the new one is, based on experience, is going to be in 1, 2, or 3, or 4, whatever, however many numbers are on that schedule.
Correct.
Based on their experience and whatever is made for the recommendation.
That's correct.
Okay, cool. All right, that's all I have, thanks.
Sure.
I don't have any questions, just, you know, so we're clear, just clearing up the title. It has nothing to do with anything other than we need to fix this. I personally have never seen anyone in HR that doesn't have the confidential on their job description, so this is something that's, you know, usually the way it's done.
To Tim's point, I believe that a lot of the SACE paperwork that was being done in this district under special ed was being done on stipend. And so this has no reflection on the person that was filling the position, but this is making this very clear. There is no stipend work anymore. This is all following under the Assistant Superintendent Kim Shaw, who is the go-to person if there's something not right or some success. It's going to that person, and that the person that's there to assist her making some changes and making modifications and bringing things back. We are at a very critical point right now where we're coming back. There are programs, especially SPED, that's been interrupted. You haven't had kids in classrooms. You've got kids wanting to stay home because there's less behavioral triggers. There's a myriad of things out there. There's a myriad of opinions, especially in that community. And I'm very, very, again, concerned that we're bringing this all together, and the person that fills that understands that once we walk out the door, the mouth closes at the end of the day. That's critical to me. Thank you.
And my fault, Ken, so that stipend that we have experienced in the past to work with the issues that Ken mentioned, when this position is filled, it's going to be part of their assignment, so there's not going to be that extra. Because this is going to align with the realignment we did with Assistant Superintendent taking on the SPED because of the other position, correct?
Correct. Kim Shaw, I don't know if you're on the line. I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, I know you're on the line. Is there any reason to discuss that further? Are we in agreement with that?
The current way we have the stipend was to do additional work for the SACE, separate from what the confidential person would be doing during the work day. The SACE work was in addition to, but if we want to envelop it into the role, we can certainly do that.
Excuse me, I'm the one that opened up this can of worms. Assistant Superintendent Shaw, I believe that you have the ability to restructure your team and the organization in response to all kinds of different things and alignments that are being made. There are positions open, there are job descriptions being altered. I'm not sure you're ready to announce what the exact structure is. There's new people coming on board, there's people leaving. You're left with a myriad of institutional knowledge transfers going on. So that was not my point. My point is that we've got a team that has been there for a really long time and understands the sensitive nature of these jobs. So when we're filling them, please be certain this person understands the confidential nature of this. There's everything that comes through you that you maintain, and we all know from the back room on the things that cannot be reported and should not be reported to protect the dignity of people. You know what those things are, and someone else knowing them and me not knowing who they are and what their track record is very concerning to me. So I'll quit beating a dead horse. I'm not looking for you to report to us what your intentions are. That responsibility belongs to the superintendent. So I'll shut down now. Thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Thank you, Mr. Fallsgraf, because I certainly don't want to put Mrs. Shaw on the spot to say there won't be any stipends or additional work, because workloads happen and things have to happen, so we're not going to tie anything to that this evening. All right, so let's call for the vote.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 4-0 vote. Passes. Thank you. 11A, expanded learning opportunities grant plan. So we're going to turn it over to Mr. No, let's get a motion first. Motion to move this in.
So
Chad.
10 seconds.
10 second. Mr. King.
So these are a block of funds that are referred to as ELO, non-electrified orchestra, expanded learning opportunities that are there, again, for the mitigation and loss of student learning, but also for emotional, social emotional support for our students as well. I'm going to turn it over, my superintendent comments to both Sam Mercer and Kim Shaw to give the board a little bit more information before you make your decision. And if you have any questions, of course, we're here to answer those.
Hello, board members. So yeah, this, like Mr. King mentioned, this grant plan, what we were advised to develop through LACO and CDE, because it's attached to several pots of funds that came in through the district. We have a total of $985,000 that came in, and about $313,000 was attached to in-person instruction. We had $65,962 out of that pot that's specifically tied to paraprofessionals, whether that be increased hours, professional development, and then we have the remainder of that is for expanded learning. So the purpose of these funds is to try to close that learning gap between when COVID happened and try to get students back up to speed. And so we had to do this plan to make sure that we get it done and board approved before June 1st in order to be eligible to get those funds. And then now I'll pass it over to Mrs. Kim Shaw, and she'll kind of go over her processes and how she got stakeholders involved.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Paula Saavedra, Nicole Chun, and Alexa Lepp. We worked together. Hassan and I worked with them also on working to get this put together. We used some of the information that we worked with the stakeholders on the LCAP, but then we also did additional surveys with parent groups. I know Paula worked with her school site council, and because we needed to get information about what parents were wanting for their kids as far as summer school went, or before and after school interventions, or during the school day interventions, those types of things. We needed information because we didn't want to just put something together that wasn't, what parents were looking for their students. So, and then we've been collecting information from teachers to get students where the students' needs are, and then we're going to use information from the STAR testing. We're doing that STAR assessments. We're working on that now and next week. And we'll take all of that information, get our students set up for summer school, which will be starting on June the 15th and go through July 13th. And trying to think what other things we did for, as far as getting the information. I'm pretty sure
this also included the wellness centers. You have the Career and Tech College career readiness programs such as Paxton Patterson, Project Lead the Way. You had additional support services for social emotional skills for the low-income foster youth and homeless populations. You also included in this Moving with Math units, which is like an online assessment that we can get a pre and post test to each student. And just there's other things attached to it, attached to the document itself. So it's not only for summer. We have a timeline to spend this is actually all the way till 2022. So it's to provide additional enrichment opportunities for the students.
Right, but our initial push was kind of to get something going for summer session for some of our kiddos, especially our young kiddos that needed some support, that have been out of the classroom for so long and are just now getting back into the rhythm of being in school. So we wanted to, like Mrs. Jensen mentioned earlier, some of those things she's seeing on the warrant register that we've been ordering. A lot of those materials are things that we're going to use in summer session that hopefully we can carry over into the fall for some of our support systems for our MTSS that we're getting put into place also. So I just wanted to mention that's what we're getting started on. But it was nice working with the TOSAs because they're, kind of our frontline gals that have been out in the classroom and just now this year out of the classroom. And so they're really an integral part of our information getting system from our teachers, knowing exactly what the teachers are wanting to. So that's been really great. And they have been very excited to be part of the process. So that's been a really good thing for us this year.
Thank you. No, we'll turn it back over to the board. Thank you. So what I'm most concerned with, Mrs. Fallsgraf, at the end of this funding period, I would appreciate a report of how much money was left on the table, why, and if there are reasons, are there rejections within the program? Did somebody in some oversight agency say, no, we're not available, we're not making funding available for that type of thing? And for the district to kind of be diligent, I don't want to leave a bunch of money, or this money laying on the table because we're not progressive. I would agree that the TOSA program takes some seasoned teachers out of the classroom and gives them a broader look at some innovations that are going to be necessary, not only to bring our kids back and retain our market in the future. So a couple of questions about this. Is the June 15th, July 13th, is that outside of the ESY program?
Yes.
Yes. So you don't, there's no requirement for an IEP or a 504 plan to participate in this?
Correct.
There is no requirement that you are only, this program is available to you only because your grades are declining or that you are failing one or more classes?
Correct.
So anyone can participate?
Correct.
I would appreciate it very much if you would, as is legal and appropriate, reach out to our athletic director and make sure that people who have eligibility problems in the sports programs know of this and that there's every effort made to make sure that they know that that information is available. The teachers that are teaching this class, are they going to be subject matter experts, or is it just going to be just, we throw kids in a room and give them a math book and pray? How will this be staffed? I know that's difficult, Kim, that's why I'm asking you.
Sorry, we put out on EdJoin for our teachers to sign up, and the principals that are running summer session, we have Paula Saavedra and Matt Brock discuss which teachers will be teaching which classes. So that's why I giggled. Sorry.
I guess the point is, I'm hoping that if there's a math class, that there's somebody there that did pass math at some point, even if it was in first grade.
I would agree.
I appreciate it when you laugh at me. I wish more people would do, because that's what they do behind my back. Mr. Wadsworth.
I'm going to kick you right over to Tim on that.
So, when you say, Kim, on the summer school, and I appreciate the clarification on content specific, that students are going in there for the core classes that they need additional support with, recovery and improvement, so anybody can go. If I got a C and I'm unhappy, I can go there and be engaged to pick up where I was back to my B or A level, correct?
Yes, I believe at this point they're focusing on kids that for credit recovery, but we're certainly not turning students away that want to go to summer school.
Okay, so if that's the primary focus, I appreciate that. And I second Mr. Fosgraf's comment with regards to our student athletes, that because there wasn't a coach there barking at them to get their homework done, now they got to get eligible and they can be a part of the program, that the discipline stays there. And yet it's still summer school, 2 weeks and 2 weeks, but it's focused and tasked. You got to get this done, and it's kind of like the hybrid. Where you go in, you're not touching every set chapter, but you're covering all the key chapters in the book.
Right, and we have Apex also. But and you remember that we did that the GPA thing, but they need to focus on their GPA, because we did that little waiver, but it only counts for a little while at the beginning of the year. You recall?
Right. Now, is that ending like the first quarter of fall
2021? Yeah,
okay. So the point that I made, and I'm not speaking as a coach and a teacher, that make sure that somehow we communicate with all of the coaches that this opportunity is available for their student athletes, to get them to help support you and get those athletes in there. Because I don't want them sitting back saying, I don't have to work hard because I got a waiver till November. No, you don't. We want those grades picked up now. We want you to learn now.
Right.
So use the coaches as a tool to help you get those student athletes. I appreciate it. So the numbers that we see here, the costs, this is all factored into how you're going to cover the cost of this, right?
Right, and paying for the teachers and paying for the instructional assistants that we're having support them.
Right, and I appreciate the notice on the warrant register I saw where I could see the instructional things that you're doing to facilitate learning. Apex, learning with a computer is good for some time, but they need that eye contact and that verbal exposure to the student, to the teacher, and that's what summer school. I look forward to it. I went to summer school my whole high school. I loved it. It was great. You know, Chris probably needed it, but I really liked it because I got to stick with my friends, and that's probably one of the reasons I was able to graduate. Appreciate the hard work. Thank you.
Kim, can you tell me when does our administrators actually get their summer vacation? Do you know their actual date when they go on, when our administrators get to have vacation?
They pick their calendar.
Okay. I just want to make the point that we have 2 administrators are working June and some are working in July, and we have teachers. Go ahead.
It's a 4-week session of summer session.
Yeah,
So
instead
of them each doing the 4 weeks, they split it. So one person's doing 2 weeks of the 4-week session and someone's doing the other 2 weeks. So they shared it.
Well, what I'm trying to point out here is that I want to give a shout out to our administrators and our teachers, because if you know, all of us that are in education that get those weekly and daily updates on what's happening around, just in the state of California, but around the country, people cannot find people to do summer intercession or summer school. It's very difficult. People are burned out. They don't want to do it. So I just want to recognize our staff and our staff and our teachers that are willing to, and our aides that are doing all this work, because this is not, I don't want our community to think we're putting together a summer program and it's an easy task. You can read all the literature that's going around in this country, and it's hard to find people that are doing summer because people are just burned out from the pandemic. So a big shout out to our staff. I just want to make sure that we are recognizing what's happening here. First of all, to Mr. Fallscraft comment, he asked about money left on the table. I know both of you well enough to know there will be no money left on the table. So I don't worry about that. I know you are going to, and the other thing I want to point out is the first round of money when we got for COVID was called like learning loss mitigation funding. Our ESSER funding was learning loss mitigation. I hated that connotation. I know you did too, because, you know, we're just assuming that kids aren't learning. Have you seen a second grader get on a Chromebook and be able to put together something for their teacher? So we cannot say in education that there's this learning loss going on. Our kids have learned some fabulous skills, and I don't want to forget that. And so now it's called the expanded learning opportunities. And if you really look at your plan, because I can see the vision of what our community is wanting by the things you're asking, we're talking about summer school, but it's the Paxton Patterson, it's all of these other things. Because if you really read the research, summer school really doesn't give you a lot of bang for your buck. I know you know this, Mrs. Shaw, I know you know how these work, but that's because you have to give the opportunities for higher level thinking and challenging and critical thinking during the summer program, which I'm excited to see where you're going with. The Wellness Center, you're talking about doing the Paxton Patterson. Wait until people see what that really is all about. So there's going to be some exciting things with this funding. No money left on the table. Great things happening. So I appreciate all your hard work. And thank you to our community that gave you some input about what they wanted to see. But if we're going to be offering some interventions, we need to make sure that it is, we've talked about those assessments when we talked about our gold standard. One of the things that we've been asking for, and I know, Kim, you came kind of when the pandemic started, but I'm going to say it again. We have got to start assessing our kids, not over-assessing our kids, not constantly, but we have to know where our kids are so we know what their needs are. Otherwise, you know, it's not targeted instruction. So, and we can't waste time teaching kids what they already know. So we can't just say learning loss and just teach lower level. We got to teach higher level so that we can have that expanded learning opportunity. So thank you both very much.
Could you repeat that, Kelly?
They understood it.
There was a lot there.
They understood it.
Spend all the money.
Yeah, they will. They will.
I said that.
They will spend all the money. There will be no talking about money left on the table. Tell everyone in the public how long you have to spend these funds. They should know that.
We have until 2022, and then we will have, with all money, it's tied at like quarterly reporting, so we'll have to give them updates of how much funds we have left. But yeah, we don't want to give any money back. That's not going to happen. Yeah.
So on the table, in my world, means in the district, not in some charter school in San Bernardino, right? We're clear? Perfect.
Yes.
So, so it's a great plan. So thank you guys very much. Let's call for the vote.
Falls-Graf, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 4-0. Passes. Thank you both for your hard work. Okay, we have 12A, Paxton Patterson Career Tech Lab. I'm not excited at all to talk about this.
Calm down.
Can I get someone to move this in?
I'll move it in.
All right, Tim.
Chad
Second. Okay, Mr. King.
So I concur with all your thoughts on this, and it is very exciting. It's a big deal. And you and I both were able to see the demo video, and when you see the labs and all the kids at work, it's great. We're going to show you that right now. I believe Ms. Shaw and Mr. Mercer that we have Judd Wood on the line. And Judd, I know we gave you kind of a time limit on this, but yeah, if you could just show a clip and maybe talk very briefly about your thoughts on this and your expertise, we'd appreciate it.
That would be great. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this. And I did want to say congratulations to Michelle. Also, I just met you the other day and you're already moving up. So way to go. Hopefully we can help you put together a special experience for your students there. And now, do I have the ability to share my screen? It looks like I do. Okay, there I am. And okay, I did want to show you this real quick thing, and then I'll keep my comments to a minimum. I know you're on a tight time frame, but I did want to share this. Let me see. Can you hear that?
We can hear it, but we can't see anything.
Okay, hold on one more second.
Yeah, please see if you can get that up. It scares me to see what's happened to Amy Frank. Really.
Okay, let's try this.
There we go.
There we go. We can see it now, Judd. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. And who knew you could get so fired up in a conversation about curriculum, huh? I worked with Asan a couple of years ago when he was at Wilsona putting in the careers lab there. So thank you, Asan, for taking the idea with you over to Acton with Olsing. Our company's been around for over 100 years. Always involved in the education industry in one way or another. About 30 years ago, we put together a curriculum, and we wanted to make it different from other types of learning models. And so the key elements that we came up with were based on hands-on project-based learning and learning content in context. One of the best ways to learn something is by actually doing it and not just being talked to about doing it. The teacher in our model is a facilitator, so it takes a very special teacher to run the class. It's self-directed learning. The students come in every day and start to work. The teacher normally doesn't even have to say anything for the students to get to work. They sit down at their modules and start going through our learning management system. And then within a few minutes, they're up doing activities. And I was able to visit school the other day, and we were looking at an old home ec room, and we were talking about a lot of things that were going to need to be done. And then we went to the room next door, and it was, I really liked it a lot. And so that's the one that I would aim for. And so I made a design of how I would recommend to lay out the class. And it's, as you can see, it is very different from a typical looking class. The students are not all facing the same direction. They're in kind of clusters. And each one of these tables represents a unit of study. So in this table, they're going to be doing culinary activities. They're going to do some eggs. They're going to do panini. And then next to them, they're going to be doing, they're going to be plastering a wall in home maintenance. And then over here, they're going to be working on robotics. And over here, they're going to be doing a video shoot. So they stay in the class for approximately 2 to 3 weeks, and then they rotate. So within a semester, a student will get about 6 or 7 modules accomplished. And as you were speaking there, I was thinking we've just started getting a lot of comments about how great this class is for summer school, because it's such a hands-on program that kids really gravitate to it. The students work in teams of 2, so there's a lot of communication and collaboration. We encourage the critical thinking, creativity. There is a heavy focus on careers. At the end of every module, they will be looking to do a deep dive on 2 or 3 different careers, so they find out how much money they could make, what kind of personalities normally do well in that career, the local options for going to school or going to a trade school or getting a certificate. It's all localized so that it's not talking about East Coast opportunities when they're on the West Coast here. The instructional delivery is through our LMS, and it is available 24/7 to students. That helps students as they're working in pairs. A lot of times one student might get behind the other one. He can catch up at home on his phone or on his iPad or on a device. So it helps with different levels of students to be able to keep up with each other. The curriculum is also available to be through translation apps. You can have it either written or audio translations as a student would go through the curriculum. This shows a teacher dashboard, and I'm just illustrating here how easy it is for a teacher to know whether a student, all of these rows are different students. And so he can see at a glance how his whole class is doing, and whether they're understanding the material very well, which is the green. The yellow means they're pretty good, but they could do better. And the red means they need some kind of remediation. So very logical sequencing there for teachers to be able to assess the success of their class. And then I hope you can see that's probably a little small on your screens, but I just wanted to show you, we've gone through some, this is a list of modules over here. And we've chosen 16 of these based on the work market in the area, what kids like, the pathways, the existing pathways at the high school, those kinds of things. And so it's you can choose these like choosing off of a menu. And you want to get around 15 or 16 because with 2 students to a module, that accommodates a class of 30 to 32 students. And then the furniture that we provide is included in this cost over here. And everything takes about 6 to 8 weeks to deliver and install. So, I mean, once you decide to do this, we could have this ready to go in August still.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Very much appreciate it.
Leader in learning.
Absolutely. Thank you. And are there any questions that I can help with?
Thanks. Yeah, we'll
Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Ken got it.
I think that this administration is to be commended for all the work that we've done to finally make something happen. Because I remember like 4 years ago, the entire focus was on a welding truck that never showed up. So good. I'm happy about this, very happy. It's meaningful and measurable.
I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to witness the Zoom of a class going through the curriculum there, and I was very impressed with it. Coming from the Boy Scout organization, as a scout and as a leader for many years, each merit badge that we earn in that program is aimed at showing a boy a career path, a possible career path. So anything that we can do to help show these students opportunities that may be out there, that may exist outside of the standard, okay, you got to go to college. So I'm on board with this 100%.
Well, I'm really excited about this because I've been really interested in elective opportunities for our students who will elect to or cannot go to a college. They want to go to a technical trade. They want to go out and be a part of the workforce. And I appreciate the fact that this is going to stimulate career opportunities. I remember I participated in a student survey at the high school 8 or 9 years ago, and a lot of the careers that the students wanted to learn about were ones that you're mentioning right here, and that's absolutely great. I'm glad that Kim and the rest of them have done that. That they've included those, that kind of, to me it sounds like, it looks like we're planting a seed of idea. Yes, we're going to make you college ready, but maybe you want to go to work for a while, and that's okay too. And that we've got to make sure that our students understand that. And I'm a direct beneficiary of this, but we didn't call it this in high school. I still have my desk that I made in middle school, 7th grade. I gave it to my grandma. She passed. I got it back. I got it back 60 years later. Oh, God, I just dated myself. But the point being is that now as an adult, I'm still using those tools that I learned in high school, how to take care of. I saw the part where you said wall maintenance, where they're going to learn how to fix things. All the time I was coaching, there was something would break and they'd say, let's go buy a new one. Why buy it? Let's fix it and we don't have to worry about it. We can fix things. In this throwaway society we live in, this is probably the best thing that we've been able to give our kids in the elective realm, above and beyond core, and I'm really excited about it. Kudos to you for doing it. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Hassan, and the staff for putting this together.
Thank you. I feel like we're seeing some really great things happening. There's more than this, the career part. There's the collaboration. There's the working together as a team, and there's the higher level thinking. So I see beyond just the career part, which I love, but I love the content and context that Judd mentioned. My question is, I see professional development or professional learning is obviously needed. I am familiar with Paxton Patterson. I've been in lots of schools and places to see what's actually Paxton Patterson. But can you tell me how much professional learning this is going to require for our teachers and when this is going to, have you planned that part yet?
I'll go ahead and speak on that. Part of the program includes, they have about, I believe it's a week of training that they go on. And then on top of that, there's additional training that they go and shadow at a school site where someone's actually, and they pretend the teachers actually act as the students and go through all of the modules to get hands-on experience with the classroom and the learning management system.
And we had discussed getting the teacher that was going to be in the classroom giving it, but then we were discussed having both of the TOSAs trained so they could become trainer of trainers so that we could train several of our teachers to do it.
I like your thinking, Mrs. Shaw, because I think we're thinking the same thing down the line about subs and blinking. I see your face that we're talking about what that will look like and not having people pulled out of the classroom when we need teaching going as well. So that's a whole juggling that I'm very much aware of. So thank you for doing that. And just a big shout out to our new principal, because I think this is going to go with her style that she likes to do things. So Mrs. Van Ornum, here you go. Here's a gift to you on your first day of being named the principal at High Desert. So thank you for your hard work, and thank you, Judwood, for helping us see that. I did attempt the Zoom as well, and it was great. So thank you.
You're
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's call for the vote.
Falsgraf, aye.
Carol Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Johnson, aye. That's a 4-0 vote. That passes. Thank you. We have resolution 2020-21.18, school districts with ADA below EC 41301, level year end appropriation transfers. Whew. Can I get a motion to move that in?
Tim Jorgensen, move.
I'll second with a suggestion. I think all of these are together. I would ask for an overview as to why the ADA level is significant and what these transfers basically give us the bullet points so the public can understand. Thank you.
Yeah, basically you read my mind. So I was going to ask the board for permission to do that, so that's great. So B, C, and D do go together. I'm going to ask Mr. Mercer to kind of distinguish between the three of them, but what they allow the district to do is to meet its financial obligations ahead of time. So it gives the district permission by the board's approval of these three items to apply different types of transfers, with Mr. Mercer wants a little more detail, rather than waiting until the day when you need to make a transfer, but you haven't previously approved it, then you're in a bind. So Mr. Mercer, can you kind of distinguish the three?
Yeah, so for the year-end appropriation transfers, it's more like if it's more giving the county, allowing the LACO to give us authorization that if there's any fund balance that's negative per se, that we could use our ending fund balance and transfer money over there. Without that, it's really just for closing out the year, and doesn't mean we're going to do it. Most likely we're not going to do it, but it gives us that flexibility where if it arises, then we can do it. The second and third one are interfund cash transfers and temporary interfund cash borrowing. A cash transfer would be like if we're moving funds from general fund to Fund 14, like deferred maintenance, and that's a permanent transfer of what we normally budgeted $325,000. Cash borrowing would be, for example, if child nutrition, they get their revenue at different timings of the year. So if they're going in the red when it's time to close out the year because, say, a month or two is delayed between them receiving their revenue, what we'll do is temporarily transfer the money in there and allow that program to be positive, and then when they get the money back, they'll have to transfer it back to us.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
No.
We're used to saying this, all the time. Okay, so I'm going to call for a separate vote on each one of them.
Yes.
Okay, so let's call for the vote on B.
Falsgraf, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Johnson, aye. Thank you. And then I need to move in C, resolution
I'll move that one in.
Okay, and who's second? Chad, second. Call for the vote.
Falls draft, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 4-0 vote. We're going to vote on D, the resolution to authorization for temporarily interfund cash borrowing 21-22.
I'll move that in, Falls draft.
Tim second.
Call for the vote.
Falls draft, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That's a 4-0 vote. Next, we have E, resolution 2020-21.21, declaration of indefinite salaries for retroactive pay. Can I get someone to move this in, please?
Tim move.
Chad seconds.
Mr. King.
So this item has to do particularly with the unrepresented employees for retroactive compensation. So if the board would take action on our classified bargaining unit members and our teachers unit members, we're leaving out our confidential. We spoke about those two positions. They're unrepresented employees. And so are classified management like Ernesto, all of you there, and then certificate of management, you have principals, Kim Shaw, and so on. So you collectively, you're allowing all of those unrepresented positions to have the same increase or decrease that other employees would get as a result of bargaining, retroactively.
Any questions?
Not here.
For this time, and then we'll have to reconsider it next year.
Yeah, every
It's
year.
not ongoing for ad nauseam, it's just like one, we'll do it this year, and then if we have to, we'll do it next.
Comes up every year.
Every fiscal year.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call for the vote.
Falls draft, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Tim Jorgensen.
Kelly Jensen, aye. That passes 4-0. We have F, resolution 2020-2021-2022, establishing procedure for an appointment of a provisional board member. Can I get a motion to move this in?
Tim moves.
Chad seconds.
Mr. King.
Okay, and I'm going to kind of group these two as well. You have F, 12F, and you have 12G, the order of a special election. So I'm going to go over the summary for provisional appointments, and then if the board so desires, I'll go over the summary of a special election. It's my recommendation that you hear both, and then by default, either one could fall off of the agenda tonight. So first, I'm going to go over the provisional appointment of a board member. Mike Fox resigned on May 13th, or he announced it on May 13th that his resignation would take place May 14th. That was a Friday. On or about May 20th, we took that resignation and we submitted it to LACO, the LA County Superintendent of Schools, which is required. And so the 60 days after submission puts us out to July 19th as a mark in which the position must be filled by with an appointment. California Ed Code Section 1591 requires the board within 60 days of the vacancy or the filing of the resignation, either an appointment of a provisional board member or call a special election to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of a board member. The board's intent to appoint a provisional board member and avoid the expense associated with the special election is part of this resolution. The board hereby would determine to proceed by appointing a provisional member within 60 calendar days commencing May 20th, 2021. At least one time between May 20th and June 14th of 2021, we would have to advertise in the following newspapers: the Akron Aadusd News and the Country Journal. Applications will be provided to interested residents at their request, and the applications must be identical in nature. The deadline for submission of a completed application shall be 4 p.m. on June 14th in the office of the superintendent. No applications will be accepted or considered if they're received after 4 p.m. on June 14, 2021. Applications will be time-stamped and logged. The superintendent or designee shall forward each applicant information as to time, date, and location of the meeting at which the board will conduct interviews for the provisional appointment. The superintendent or designee will review each application to determine that they meet the minimum requirements, that they have legal requirements such as the state of their age, a registered voter, and a resident of the district. Superintendent or designee will issue an announcement to the local newspaper of the number of applications received from qualified applicants, the applicants' names, and the date, time, and location of the board meeting where these applicants will be interviewed by the board. Superintendent or designee shall forward to each board member the applications received upon closure of the application period. The name of each applicant who is determined to meet the legal requirements will appear on the agenda of the meeting at which the interviews with the board will take place. The board will hold a special meeting to be scheduled on or after all applications are received, interview applicants, vote on a provisional appointee, and swear the new appointee into office all in the same special board meeting. That the superintendent or designee shall comply with the notice posting and publication requirements set forth in their code. And the board delegates the superintendent all authority necessary and proper to accomplish the procedures outlined in this resolution. So that's the summary of the appointment process. If the board pleases the board, I can go through an overview of the special election process, but because of the costs involved, I'm not sure that you want to entertain that at this point.
I think we should say what the cost is.
Yeah.
Can you let me know what the cost is?
Can I ask a question on this here? So in the appointment, that appointment is till November 2024, right?
No, as a provisional appointment, it does not extend to the length of the term of the previous board member. It only goes to the next natural
22.
election. 22.
Okay, so it's a year and a half.
They would have to run at that point and then go through 2024.
Am I wrong in my assumption that there is a significant issue on the agenda or on the ballot this November?
There could be, no, you're not wrong, no. Because they're looking at a recall and potentially being on that election.
Okay. So is there an estimated cost? I have two questions. Let's say we appoint no one. We're all sitting up here because we're elected. That's the first time that's happened forever. Let's say I have no interest in appointing anyone. No one's rising to the surface out there that seems to be positive and has something to add and has been vocal that way. So let's just say that's my feeling. Do I have to appoint someone before the election if we were to vote for a special election?
No.
So we could wait for the November 2nd election. People would file their papers like the rest of us did when did we do it? July 12th, 17th to be done and finalize your papers. So you pull your papers and then you finalize them before August 12th or something like that. So we could function as a school board legally with the four of us sitting here until the November election.
Correct, yes.
That doesn't scare me at all, people. Next, what is the estimated cost for that election?
Do we have any idea on that? I know last time it was, I think it was roughly $80,000, but do we?
The last general election, that was about $3,000, that's general election. It is 3 times that cost relative to a special election.
So it's increasing when I announced 3 years ago, and so it would be roughly $120,000.
So to be clear, those of us that are sitting here, the district spent $40,000 in a regular election for us to have the opportunity to sit here. Is that correct?
Correct.
And because this would be a special election, because the nature of this election this fall is controversial, that would drive the cost up above $40,000.
Correct.
There's some things I want to say right now that I just cannot. That's all I have.
I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but I actually agree with him. on this case. I think that holding a special election doesn't make any sense for anybody. I personally think that people to sit on this board should be elected by the people of this town, should not be appointed. So if we can do it without having an appointee and make it to the next election, I think that's what we should do.
I think that if that election occurs this fall and it doesn't cost us any more, that's one thing. But to suggest that we can operate as a board of 4 for a year and a half, I don't think that's legal.
Well, aren't we limited? We have to do something within 60 days.
We can declare that we're going to have a special election in November.
And we commit to it, we commit to
But that
spending
price tag is $120,000, or the equivalent of, say, the salary of a food services director.
Where'd you come up with 120?
Well, that's just an estimate.
Well, it was 60. It's not 120.
No. The estimate that we had 3 years ago was the estimate I threw out, but it's roughly 3 times the cost.
Well, 3 times 20 though. She's
3 times 40. 3 times 40.
So here's where I'm at. This is not a debate. We cannot legally operate as a board of 4 for a year and a half.
Yes.
So we have to make a choice that we're either going to do a provisional appointment where everybody comes in, and we've been through this before, and we ask them why they want to be here and what they have to offer and how they build consensus and all those kinds of things. And we pick one. We're back to a board where it's fragmented between those who have actually been elected by popular vote with someone who is not. I didn't like that experience when I was living it. I may like you all, I may not. But at the end of the day, I do have to respect the public faced each and every one of you here, and you've been confirmed by our community. That said, if we're going to be an election year and it would cost $40,000, that's one thing. But I don't think we can wait a year and a half to let that happen. And so for us to spend, let's just say that it's more than $40,000. We spent that $40,000 last time to put you here and you here. And from the performance I've seen, that was money well intended. That's the second compliment and a half that I've said this year all in the same night, believe that or not. But I think we got our money's worth out of you too. But again, while we're laying people off, this position, even if it's only double what it costs, it is the equivalent of a managerial position such as the food services director position. So we're taking that and spending it on somebody, because the other option is to appoint someone based on there will be all kinds of controversy. Oh, he's Paul Scrapp's friend. That's a lie. I have no friends. You all know that. But there will be controversy. But at the end of the day, we are forced to spend this money or appoint.
I'd like a turn, thank you.
I'm way done, guys, I'm sorry.
So regardless, if we appoint, it's for a year. If we have a special election, it's for a year, and then they got to go do it again, right? So either way, it's only for a year, until November 22, right?
The choice is, Tim, is to Chad's point. If the election is the public's choice, not our choice.
Right, and I think it should be the public's choice, but if we chose to go appointment and we appoint, that's only good until November 22, and then they have to run to confirm the last 2 years. Yeah. If we allow election for this November, it's only for 1 year till November 22, and then they're going to run for 2. So we're going to spend the money for a year, or we're not going to spend the money for a year.
I think on
I'd like to speak to it when I get a chance.
I just want to make sure I'm answering these questions clearly, because I think on the election, I'm going to confirm it, it would go until 2024. It would fill out the rest of Mike Fox's term.
Yeah, it would be the rest of it.
It's different than.
Because when I did for Larry, it was I had 2 years left.
Right. An election is different than a provisional appointment.
And you're saying that it's gonna cost estimate 120 grand to have a election this November 21 for 3 years worth of work.
Right.
And if we appoint, it's only gonna be for 1 year.
Correct.
Till 22, and then they run and get the last 2 years.
Correct.
And if we appoint, it's zero. There's no.
No cost, but for 1 year, and then they have to run.
So let's talk about this, okay? You guys talking about, you know, salaries and stuff, our people, that's important, but we just talked about a Paxton Patterson lab for $88,000. That's $88,000 to do Paxton Patterson for our kids. I'm sorry, but I think that our community did maybe vote for us because we can make some good decisions, and I think that we can appoint someone to make some good decisions for 1 year, because I would like to see that money spent on our children. Chances are, if somebody wants to run for an election, they're gonna put in their ballot, and there's a darn good chance we would still pick the person even doing the appointment. I'm not interested in spending a lot of money and taking it out of the classroom when we need to focus on learning. We just approved an awesome lab for $88,000. That's where I personally think we need to put our money.
So if we do an appointment, who's the designee that takes in these applications and goes through them?
Our office, yes.
Superintendent.
Confidential, that's why that's part of the confidential part of the job. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that, so the public is clear. I don't want to hear anything about favoritism if we're going to do an appointment, because I know it's coming down the pike. This pet over here got picked over this pet over here, and I want somebody that's unbiased, that wants to come in here and make change for the good, not somebody's personal fixer.
You know, my office becomes the custodian of those applications, and we keep those under lock and key. There's a separate lock that goes into my office, but even on top of that, we put them in lock and key in the filing cabinet.
And your last day is when?
Well, I would transition that process to the next person, but.
My point being is that you're moving on. We have somebody else that's going to come in at some point. And again, I don't want that to get dropped in the cracks because there's influence coming from wherever. All I'm saying is I want an unbiased person that the community is going to rally around, not one of us.
Gotcha.
And I think, Chet, along your lines, that because Larry is departing, that's an opportunity that we have someone who has no contact exposure, handling it in the appropriate fashion. And I like the fact that it's a 1 year assignment, because I agree with Kelly. I don't want to take the money away. I just don't want to make us spend all this money to do this. To be in lunacy that they take our money to. But I want to keep the money in the classroom for these programs like these elective Paxton on stuff. So if we have to make a good decision for 1 year to get us to November 22, that person can run in 2022, right, or they'll go against whoever does it. So we're talking about we got to cover our bases for a year. And I agree with Kelly. I think that we have experience and wisdom and stuff that we can do this. It'll be a tough decision, but we can do it. We'll have that office keep it screened from us so we don't know.
And the superintendent doesn't have anything to do with the appointment because it's.
Right, he just does the records and then we make the decision.
That we'll have to make that tough decision,
But he is building the applications, and I don't want this application to come in and this happen. No, we'll just go this one in the trash and we'll pass it on to the next person.
It's illegal, no. But also, I think that part of our job is that we are stewardships of our budget and making sure that our kids have learning going on. I think our parents would be pleased that we're doing something like putting a Paxton Patterson into our, instead of holding an election. So it is for 1 year. I think that, at the end of the day, if people are upset, it may or may not happen. I can tell you that I can do this with, at the end of the day, I make tough decisions all the time, so I'm up for the game because I want to see it for our kids. Mr. Falsgraf, do you have something else?
Are we ready to vote?
Yeah. I think so. Anything else?
No.
It is everything that I stand for. Again, I sat up here and battled with people, appointees, all this. I came in. Amy Frank, greetings out there. I made a comment about your background. But when Amy and I ran, everybody knew what we were about. Everybody knew what we stood for. We stood up and announced to the public at the Acton Town Council meeting and all kinds of places that this is who we are and what we stand for. And she continues to service this district today. We both do. Mr. Wadsworth won the election. Tim won the election. You won the election. This is a very functional team. It's an annoyance to me to have somebody come forward now and then one night talking to the four of us and wonder, based on what we've read in the newspaper, what's real and what's not. The public vote is real, but I am not going to punish the children in this district just because we can't keep our commitments. So I will vote for a provisional appointment.
You voting now?
Yeah.
I'll vote for the provisional appointment.
We're on that one, I'm voting yes.
Okay, so we're going to vote, and Kelly Johnson is an aye, so we're going to vote 4-0 for the provisional appointment. Now, when we're going to G, the resolution 2020-21.23 to order a special election for the board vacancy, we're going to have to move this in and vote. We're going to.
No,
we're not going to vote. Are we going to just table it?
I'll move it in.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Vote, yeah.
No.
Is there a second?
Dies for, I don't
Does
think
it
it's.
die or do we just vote
It
no?
would die with no second.
Do we have a second on my motion? No.
Okay.
Dead on
Thank
the vine.
you. Dead on the vine. Thank you. Okay, so for future agenda items, I would like to see, it says here the Brown Act. I asked Mr. King, I think that we need to, as we get a new board member, this is something that we need to discuss and have further training and have a special study session on this. Are you guys?
On what?
On the Brown Act, especially if we get a new board member.
We had a governance training that was open to the public. It was poorly attended. That's an indicator of one of two things. Either the public that voted for us actually trusts us to do the business we do, and they don't need to be educated about the nuances of how we get board packets and read them a week ahead of time and do the work we do to represent them. This is not a board training session. I do think that I got an email that had a valid question citing some California law that said, I don't understand why these things are reported out. I will say this. Let's say there was a special education ruling in the back. Hey, if people don't know, I would suggest that we have this study session, and I would suggest you get a lawyer on the phone so it's not up to what my hearsay of my rendition of what I think it is. I think there's an opportunity to do this. I would agree that it should happen after the provisional appointment. I don't want there to be confusion about someone's role when they fill this chair.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
No, you're spot on. I already spoke to an attorney that, because I considered doing a shorter session like doing one of these items, but it doesn't warrant what you really need. So they'll come in, they'll do a morning session for a couple hours, and it'll be a comprehensive overview of Brown Act and so on. But you know, there's been some questions about the board's role in sharing out from closed session. And I think for public edification, it's a good session, and that's why these study sessions are public. Because if you're interested in knowing why we don't report out, or why there's very little to report out, this is a high functioning board. And I think it's important the public understand, why that is the case, because otherwise it would be frustrating to think that we're just not being transparent. And so I think it's important. And then the homework that you do before a board meeting, the same thing for the public piece. How are decisions made so quickly when you do come to a board meeting? It's not that they're made quickly, but there's a lot of studying and homework that goes into the process beforehand. So anyhow,
I don't want there to be confusion between someone who has a question because they don't understand. I spent 5 years out in the audience before I ran for board, so I had the most rudimentary understanding of what happened in closed session. I've said this in videos on the internet. I did one called What Makes a Good Board Member, and it talks about how your perceptions can be just, in your campaign promises, can be shot out the window over an issue back there that's very difficult. And sometimes they're perturbing. My suggestion would be this: don't confuse questions from people who just don't know or have an interest in the process with somebody setting up a political campaign ahead of time. Don't confuse those two. And when we do have this session, I would hope that the handouts that were provided at the governance session would be made available to any attendee or anyone who would have wanted to attend by posting that information on the district website. So there's a resource that's called How Your Board Works, Open Session, Closed Session would be my suggestion. Sorry to take so much time.
I'd love to add that. One thing. There was an email that came through questioning stuff about closed session. Did you address that?
Okay, I met with that person.
And they were satisfied?
They did. They understood it, and I think they'll appreciate the fact that we're doing this as well.
We have to be accountable to our public. The suggestions sometimes are difficult, but sometimes they're great. This is an example of the great.
So I'd like to have on the agenda before we go to summer break that we get an athletic update from our athletic director and administration on expectations based on restarting, rebuilding, based on CIF adjustments, because they're waiving so many things to help to encourage schools. I'd like to know what their proposals are. Here's what I'd like to do, so they kind of get us up to speed of what they're going to do about getting ready, not waiting, but I'd like to have a report update from the athletics.
Sure. If it pleases the board, I would suggest that we put down the June 24th agenda, just because I know they're prepping for our graduation.
Before we go on break, so we know going into summer that we know, our parents know, our students know, here's what we're gearing up for. Everybody get on board. Let's get this thing rolling.
Absolutely.
To Tim's point, this wasn't popular before. The constituency, the consistency of the board has changed recently. We spend a lot of time wondering, and this is your background, Tim, and I talk about SPED, and you talk about whatever you talk about. But I come from a system that employs liaisons, in which 2 board members have a monthly meeting or whatever is critical to staff. The superintendent is the key person. We don't dip down past the superintendent. It's not our role as board members to be influencing what's going on the school sites. In the past, I've asked for a liaison, and that liaison meets with somebody regularly. There could be a number of liaisons, but the sports liaison is a good thing because a lot of requests for support, a lot of issues that come forward can be addressed by 2 board members. The business comes back to the board. We ask, do we have the support of the sports program liaison in this matter? Yes, we do. It speeds up process, and it gives staff that are serious about what they do and are facing challenges an ability to have direct access and collaborate to work together and move this process ahead instead of talking about it incessantly, board meeting after board. So you can expect that when we open this up, I will make that suggestion. I will continue to make that suggestion until the day I die.
Are we ready?
So I agree, like the 20, as long as we get something before we go on summer break.
We'll do that.
So, okay, so we're agreeing on the Brown Act and we'll have an athletic update, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so for the calendar, on June 5th, Saturday, we'll be here very early in the morning to do our superintendent search. Really quickly, I just want to let the public know that it was great. We got, that's how we kind of, with all the study sessions and the input, that's how they came up with the job description. So I want our community to know that we appreciated that. It was very well defined. So we have that going on June 5th. The board will be here all day and probably until the late afternoon. So
that's a beginning to end. We're going to come to a resolution hopefully by the end of that day, right?
Possibly.
If everything works out.
And to clarify, that is not something that's publicized. These are candidate interviews and a series of them until hopefully at the end of the day, we're starting to get close.
Once again, we don't share things about, confidential things.
It's going to be a long day.
It's going to be a long day. So bring some good snacks.
You parked in my RV.
Can I be psychic and suggest there will be nothing to report?
Possibly,
Okay.
yes. And June 9th is a special board meeting replacing the board member for, replacing the board meeting. I said board member, boy, that was weird.
Replacing
The
for
board
graduation.
meeting, because we have graduation on June 10th. So that will be on a Wednesday. So if you're here on the 10th, you'll be here alone. On June 24th, we have a regular board meeting. So we have a lot going on. So that's what we have on the calendar.
What was that? Back up 1 second, Madam President. You said, what was the one, what do we have on? June 8th?
June 5th, we have our special board meeting on Saturday.
Right.
June 9th, we have a special board meeting on a Wednesday because we're having graduation on the 10th.
10th and 11th.
And the 11th, correct. And June 24th is just a regular board meeting.
That's our regular.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, the board has nothing to report out from closed session.
I can be as louder.
And can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting tonight at 9:42 p.m.?
So, second.
Let's call for the vote.
Balls, Graff, aye.
Ken Wadsworth, aye. Tim Jorgensen, aye.
Kelly Jensen, aye. We are adjourning at 9:42 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.